Hi guys. So this is the Module 9 Padlet discussion. So we're just going to jump into it. So the first thing was the video about the step parents or whatever. And it was tell me your personal reflection of the family dynamic and what stood out to you. So what stood out to me the most was like how emotional everything felt with everybody being involved. And what I mean by that is like you can just like feel like the tension between the kids and the step parents and stuff. So, and I could relate to that because I have a stepmom and a stepdad. The transition to my stepmom was easier than the transition for my stepdad because I'm a daddy's girl. So I didn't really like the thought of having a stepdad and that whole dynamic and stuff. So I definitely understood, and that's why I chose that one as well to talk about because I could connect to that. I also seen like the kids didn't automatically connect with the step parent. So yeah, that was also something I could relate to because it took a while for me and my stepdad to get on the level of what can I say, parent to child, to where I could talk to him about things. But like we're good now because they've been married for 8 years, going on 9. So yeah, we're good now. So yeah. Um, and also about the video about the step parents says, tell me one specific thing you learned in the chapter that could support this type of family structure and support. One thing I learned was that step families don't just magically come together. It's gonna take time, and they have to like everybody has to grow into the role of a new parent, a new stranger, and everything. And a parent has to take on children that aren't theirs and stuff. So, this made me realize that supporting families isn't just about rushing to closeness, but actually respecting everybody's boundaries, learning everybody, and actually listening to how everyone feels and respecting their process on taking everything in. Next, it says it talks about the textbook, The Myth of Remarriages and stuff. And the question was share which one you find to be the most harmful when it comes to the myth or whatever. And the main one was definitely love is enough to make everything okay. Absolutely not. Me, and I've talked about this in my previous videos, me just not getting out of an engagement, love was not enough. We loved each other deeply, but love was not enough. Love does not make up for the stress, the lack of help, the lack of partnership, past hurt and trauma, challenges that, come with that and stuff like that. But regarding to remarriages, that's not gonna help with challenges that's gonna come with a blended family as far as everything else that I mentioned that comes with relationships. Love is just not enough and it's not reality. So that's definitely something that would hurt a remarriage or a relationship or anything because that's just simply not reality. Then we got into the article when we read about the article and stuff, and it was like list one thing you found interesting or valuable from the article. One thing I found interesting and valuable was that communication and respect. Without respect, there's no boundaries, and therefore that's how we overstep boundaries, or others may overstep boundaries because we have no respect. And without communication, there's always going to be misunderstanding and conflict because we have no communication to communicate what we do and do not like. Um, yeah. And it says share why this is interesting and valuable to you personally. I went through it. Very personal. We could not communicate. Like I mentioned in my last video about the communication and stuff, different types of communication. And like conflict when whatever I forgot what that last chapter was called. But avoidant. I had a very avoidant partner. We couldn't communicate, and that led to a lot of even more bigger conflicts because something that could have been solved with just a simple conversation went on for days and weeks because he was an avoidant, wasn't confrontational, and I was. It just didn't work. Lastly, the TED Talk. It says list one thing you learned or found interesting that was in the video that the lady had discussed or whatever. And it was like how divorce is always not failure. Totally understand. Me, I wasn't married, but I did end up getting divorced. I mean, ending my engagement. And I would definitely say it made me grow. It made me grow. It made me learn a lot about myself and a lot about relationships in entirety, which it actually helps, because when you get remarried or you get in another relationship or another engagement, whatever you want to call it, it helps you be a better person and look for those signs and everything, and helps you just develop all the way around. And it can actually be, a divorce actually can be very, very healthy. I do feel like me going through my engagement and calling it off and everything, I've become a much healthier person when it comes to relationships, because now I know how to navigate better. I know the signs and everything like that. Don't mind my baby in the background, I'm sorry. So yeah, I do feel like divorce is not always bad, like she mentioned. So yeah, that's my spiel on this chapter.